Hello and welcome to the Flatback 4 podcast and the Premier League. We are back, so.
We're back at last.
I can't, but we're actually saying Leeds United and Premier League back. It's done. Not only confirmed that we were back, we didn't kick a ball. We got promoted and we were champions.
The easiest ever promotion that there's ever been in the history of the Championship. Didn't even kick a ball.
Considering the last 16 years have been as painful as they've been, the fact that we didn't kick a ball and we got promoted and we actually did the easy way and was champions without playing, I actually can't quite believe how the last 3 or 4 days has been. Can you sum it up?
I can't, to be honest, mate. It just seems a bit surreal at the minute. I mean, it's put a dampener on it, and the fact that all this virus is still around and the fans aren't there to be there. But you'd have taken this at the start of the season, wouldn't you? My God, be promoted. Yeah. Well, technically with 2 games left, 16 years away from the Premier League, and finally done it. Yeah. Finally, at last. Don't care how we've done it, don't care who's done it, we're back there at last.
It's probably quite apt, actually, that it's happened in like a coronavirus. Nothing goes normal for Leeds and nothing's smooth and whatnot. And as well, to make it sweet today, of course, we watched the game this afternoon. Derby had to give us a guard of honour. And it does show you, doesn't it? I mean, maybe Frank Lampard might even look back at that and go, with his players, maybe they shouldn't have done that, because karma does have a way of coming back. They've not even made playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Leeds have gone up as champions. We've been the team that's kind of come back and resilient. By the way, Derby were awful.
Yeah, today. Let's just touch on Derby just really quickly. How bad were Derby?
It was bad. I mean, Wayne Rooney had he didn't have a great game today, and yet he was still probably the best player on the pitch by a million miles. So, they were bad today. What's his face at the back, Clark?
Oh, mate. He's 23 years old, mate. 23
I know.
years old.
Yeah, that birth certificate's wrong.
Yeah. he's that sort of Phil Jones type defender, isn't he? That he just doesn't exactly look the part, but just sort of.
He looked heavy today, and he's actually probably been one of their better players this year. But looking at him today, you would have thought they've just gotten a Clark. They've gone into a pub and gone, Clark.
Yeah.
You're in team sheet today.
He's on loan from Brighton as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
He
just looked very clumpy. Yeah, he looked very clumpy. Yeah, I mean, compared to our Brighton player, we're going to touch on him as well, actually. But Leeds were good today. Hernandez, he got man of the match. Sky gave him man of the match. 35 is going to be going into the Premier League. It looks, he looks fit. It looks like he can do it. We know the Premier League is a step up, but just having someone like that in the dressing room, I suppose, is going to be good for Leeds in the Premier League.
Yeah, he's just a leader, isn't he? He's what's he now? 35. 35-year-old.
But never blessed with great pace, so he's not known for his pace. So as long as his legs hold up, you probably think that he's going to be all right.
Yeah, I mean, credit's got to be given to Gary Monk for bringing him into the club. What was it, 4 years ago? I remember we got him on loan. Just got him on loan initially, didn't we? We were playing like Saudi Arabia or
something like that. I mean,
yeah, just to even get him into the club initially on, I think it was a 6-month loan, and then get him on a permanent, and then I think we've just gone year on year. And he just seems to have just slotted straight in, doesn't he? He was getting emotional the other night down at Ellen Road. I think that was his aim just when he first came in to get promoted with us, and it seconded him until he was 35. But just an outpour of emotion, wasn't it, the other night on Friday after 16 years for us, 4 years for him. It was just
So let's take it back. Obviously, so we were waiting on the Huddersfield result coming in, and. Huddersfield, I mean, by the way, as we're talking this, the Cowley brothers, they've gone. We don't have they walked, have they been sacked? We don't know where it, do we know what it is?
No, it's another one. It's a weird decision, isn't
it's
it?
It's a bit strange, isn't it?
Beat second in the league one day. I mean, when the Cowley brothers came in, I think they were bottom or second bottom. He's pretty much got them safe. They beat second top, or they were second yesterday, West Brom. Looked very good yesterday, actually, to be fair. And yet they're gone the next day. It just seems a surreal decision. I mean, for Cowley brothers, they were probably coming in at the start of this season, or whatever it was, 2 months into the season, looking towards next season, and they've actually laid the groundwork to get a proper season under the belts next year, aren't they, for a bit of a promotion push? So it's just a weird decision. Unless they've been had some offers from elsewhere, maybe Bristol City or something, who've lost Lee Johnson recently.
I mean, I don't think there's any struggle that they're going to find work. I think that they're rated very highly, aren't they? They're young. It's not all been plain sailing for them, but they're meteoric rise from what they did with Lincoln.
But they've done us a favour yesterday, man. They did us a massive favour.
I mean, yeah, they were good. I mean, I've got to be honest. Brentford, we all kind of assumed that they were just on that momentum where that momentum train. It's just going to carry on. Now they've kind of left it in West Brom's position, but West Brom. We spoke about West Brom. They're a funny team, really, because I look at them and I go, yeah, they're solid. Them, and then I've looked at them more this season and gone. Yeah. And you always make a point, though. I will say you always make a point that this championship is not full of quality. It's just full of drama, which we always expect. Now, Leeds and West Brom have probably been the best two over the year, but actually, I would say Leeds' football has been the best in the championship, which we're all aware of. But West Brom, they look. If another team had put a decent run together, West Brom wouldn't be anywhere near that. It's because the other teams have been poor.
Yeah, I think every other team's been poor, mate. Apart from probably the top three, it could have been the rest of the playoffs could have been another 3 out of the other 21 clubs.
Of course.
It could have been anybody. It's just really that, and actually Fulham, to be fair, have come in and out of it. But the top 3 or 4 have just been away far and above the rest of the league. We've touched upon it before, haven't we? The sort of class divide in the championship this season. There's not like the Newcastles or the Sunderlands or the Readings of yesteryear that got like nearly 100 points. I mean, we've nearly got 100 points ourselves, but in terms of the rest of the league, it's probably one of the poorest championships there's been, and it was a perfect opportunity for Leeds to be promoted this year, and they've done exactly what we're asked.
Well, the thing is, mate, if we wouldn't have gone up this year, I think there would have been a real worry because we would have lost Phillips and who knows what would have gone wrong, but then wheels would have just come off, and all the hard work that we kind of done the last couple of years and what Bielsa's managed to get out of the team, I think we would have, it could have been another 5 years down there because I think Bielsa would have gone implementing ideas.
I think when you get so close one season, and I'm going back to the Gary Monk season where we just missed out on the playoffs after a great season, sometimes after that you can maybe have 1, 2, 3 seasons that are maybe sort of mid-table, and
look at Derby.
Yeah, Derby.
They've been on the high.
Yeah, they've been on a high, but they flirt with the playoffs every year, man. They're going to be a bit of a yo-yo club, aren't they? What I wanted to do actually, mate, we'll touch on like the last 16 years of Leeds, mate. Do you remember when we were when we just got relegated? Where were you? What do you remember about us getting relegated, and what do you remember about that period of? Like when we got relegated.
I was at college. I was at college, so I was 17. I'm 33 now, so that gap of it's quite surreal because at the time we were that awful bubble because I was at that age where I was going out drinking and going to pubs, and we were just watching this kind of meltdown. Not really so much on the pitch, but I was aware of what was obviously going on off the pitch with all the money, and you start getting a sense of. Wow, there's the boys behind are just screwing this up for us. We were 2 years ago with Champions League semi-finalists. Now we're on the cusp of relegation, and when it happened, it was like a real sinking feeling. But at the same time, I think we all thought, you know what, we might go down. It'll be a year, and we'll come back. Because we're Leeds United, and it just shows you what like a tornado pull it has down there, pulling you down into a plug, because. We're 17 years. I'm 33. I've got a few more grey hairs, a bit bigger. But it were awful. Where were you?
Still in school, mate. I were in year 10. Yeah. Do you know what? I don't remember a lot around that time. I remember when we got relegated, and we'd flirted with relegation the season before, aren't we? When I think Peter Reid.
Well, Arsenal. We beat
Arsenal, didn't we?
Unbelievable.
And it was just a great fall from. Back in the Champions League days, man, I remember, going to school and they were playing the Champions League music in the stadium when we were doing like our IT lessons in South Stand at Leeds, and then that drop to like be relegated. I must say, at the time when we first got relegated, never in my wildest dreams did I think we're going to spend 10, 15 years. I actually thought that, all right, we're going to lose a load of players, but we'll probably bring in a few players. Leeds United has got this huge.
Leeds United.
Yeah, Leeds United. We've got this huge pull. Yeah. Players will come. They'll come. They'll come for not a big pay packet, but to come play for Leeds, and they'll get us back up.
Yeah.
And I initially thought that we'd spend maybe a couple of years, even when we got to the playoff final, when Kevin Blackwell were in charge, and when he got us to the playoff final, I thought, right, if we don't get promoted this year, we'll probably get promoted in a couple of years. You know, we're going to flirt with the playoffs.
Yeah.
Probably going to get
promoted.
promoted.
We were always going to be up there.
Yeah,
we were always going to be up there.
But then we just dropped again, and it was just drama.
But I will say though, Scott, and the thing is though, what we've always got to remember is, if you look at Leeds over the 17 years, forget about forget about managers and players at the minute. Maybe not so much managers, but the backroom staff that we've had and what we've had to go through, and the owners, and then the owners that have hired the managers that have not been right, or it's been a band-aid over a situation. Behind the scenes, Leeds were a mess for years. Instead of going down, regrouping, getting the back room sorted, and then we could have rebuilt. But it seems to have just gone on. And even now, mate, the owners have done well to a degree. But me and you, we are. We're not massive fans, but again, credit where credit's due. But there's always I just want to hear nothing from them.
Yeah,
I always say that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
We've always said it.
Credit where it's due, though, mate. I mean, I've criticised Orton, I've criticised Radrizzani, but over the last 15 years, last 14 years, just before the last couple of seasons, although we've tried to get the best players, or we've tried to get very good players, we've never tried to get, because we say we're a Premier League team, we are a Premier League club, aren't we?
We're a Premier League club,
but we've never tried to get a Premier League manager, or I know we don't call us dinosaurs here, but we've never really gone to get a Big Sam or a Steve Bruce, or that sort of Premier League sort of ilk manager, like West Brom have done this season with Slaven Bilic. We've never really tended to do that, and we did get Bielsa. I know we touch on Bielsa and probably say that we don't believe that he's one of the world's best, but he's definitely Premier League class in terms of manager, even at this age. And finally we did it. Finally we got a Premier League manager, and it's paid off. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to do that, does it? It's just a shame that it's taken this long to actually get a manager who could pull those players together and get Premier League performances.
I think the backroom staff as well, like Radrizzani and whatnot, they do deserve a bit of credit. I do. I still think there's something I'm not quite sure on. I don't know what it is, but I don't want to really talk too much about that, because it takes away the gloss of what Bielsa and the lads have done. And like you said, we have been critical of Bielsa, but let's be honest, Arsenal fans criticised Arsene Wenger and he won everything with them. Man United fans criticised Ferguson. Me and you have both never said that Bielsa's an awful manager. Absolutely, quite the contrary. At times, he's an absolute genius and he's fantastic, and I get it. But we are allowed to criticise, and certain Leeds fans are just a little bit like, oh, Bielsa's God. Well, no. Now he's got to that maybe status when he's finally done it with us. But last year was a missed opportunity. But yes, credit where it's done. The guy has got a group of quite average players when he first come in, and he has worked on them. At times, could he have done things differently? I think we all, as fans, could have gone, well, he's persisted here and he's persisted there. But overall, he's got us promoted. So yes, he deserves all the credit in the world, and I will give him that now.
Yeah. What are your best memories of the last 16 years? Do you think that the time in the Championship and League One has made us a better club?
To be honest, mate, it's all such a blur when we're down there, because I don't think actually, no, it wasn't. It's not really been a massively positive time, because I think when you're down for that long, you start accepting sometimes, oh well, maybe not that I ever thought we were just a Championship club.
You start to when we went mediocrity.
A little bit, and players that are coming in, you go, yeah, he's not going to get goals, and you start accepting that, and you go back and you go, no, and maybe Bielsa. The one thing I will really praise him on, he doesn't accept anything else. Even today, he made 8 changes. Bielsa doesn't make 8 changes, you know what I mean? But even he realised today, everyone's, still, I think, quite hammered if you saw some of the photos and whatnot. But he still expected a win today. And I think that mentality has been driven into Leeds, and it's something that we've lacked for years, that just coming in and winning mentality. I was a big fan of Monk, as you were. And again, I think backroom staff really screwed him. But over the last 16 years, I was at the final for Doncaster. Awful. I mean, the keeper that day was unbelievable, because it'd have been 7 or 8. we were awful. You know what I mean? And then, obviously with Beckford and we've beaten Man United in 2009. We've had some high points, but it just eradicates. But this promotion now, for me, and going up as champions, lifting the trophy today that we lifted back in the day, I think it's just give us that motivation that we need for next season. And we've got that winning mentality back now. I would do what Sheffield United have done. I think you could keep a core group of these players and just add, I think you tweeted, you don't want to add 6, 7, 8, 3 or 4 good players that are going to come in, help the team around us, and try it. And because Bielsa's football will work in the Premier League. We played Arsenal a few months back, didn't we, in the FA Cup? Yeah. And how many Arsenal fans were saying? We played them off the park.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's not been a phenomenal 16 year. We've had the odd couple of high points, but today it doesn't matter. We're promoted and we're champions. So for me now, the last 16 years, we can't change history, but we can set this present and the future, and we can go into it with a different mentality.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I think that we need in terms of players, and you tell me. I think we'll definitely need a goalkeeper. I'm not convinced by Casilla. I do like that Meslier. I think he will.
Yeah,
I think
like
he will
him.
Be very good.
He's not put a foot wrong, has he?
He's not really.
Put a foot wrong, to be fair.
He hasn't put a foot wrong. I'm not convinced by Casilla. I think he brings too much drama on and off the field. I think we'll probably resign to losing Ben White, which is it's going to be a huge loss. In fairness, I don't think Brighton are going to be able to keep him either. I think he'll go.
No,
elsewhere.
I
don't. So I think we'll need another centre back to partner Liam Cooper. I think we may or may not need either a left back or a right back. Although I do like Douglas, as you know, and I do like Ayling.
He never got his chance, Douglas, because when Wolves got promoted, he came to us. So I think maybe now he might have a point.
Yeah,
I think he'll be okay.
He's had a strong end, mate. He's got a wonderful left peg. I'm a big fan of Douglas. All right, he does lack in pace, but his delivery, particularly in our team where we don't have the best set piece takers. We've seen over the last couple of weeks we seem to be the first man on corners. Hopefully next season.
Scott, we had a slow left back for years in Ian Hart, but could he
deliver a ball, mate?
Kicks?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
You don't have to have a lot of pace.
No, absolutely. I think we'll probably need another midfielder just as cover. Although Forshaw coming back from injury will be great. We will absolutely need another striker. 100%.
I know. And fair play. Listen, again, criticise Bamford, and fair play to the lad. It's a big. This shirt is heavy. It's heavy for any striker. And at times he is woeful. At times he is. He always works hard, but that finishing in the Championship, Leeds are the best team. Remember, we go up. We're the newbies. We're the year 7 going back into that Premier League, and we're going to get bullied by Arsenal and co. Man United look good. Chelsea look good. Liverpool, obviously. Man City. We are the babies, but we need to still keep the football. But if we get 2 chances in a game, one of them has to be taken. Am I confident Bamford can do it? I'm not.
No, I mean, either, mate. I think the thing with Bamford is the best we've seen from Bamford this season was when someone was behind him, not in terms of the role behind him, but somebody was actually on the bench, like Nketiah, who was pushing to take over from him, and that's when we saw the best from him. I think if we do bring another striker in, it'll be somebody of that sort of Bamford ilk, that sort of
system,
the big man up front, and when we can play off him. I think Jack Harrison's staying again for another season. It sounds like we've got
I think that's been confirmed.
He's just going to stay for the rest of his career, isn't he? Year loan. And maybe another winger just as backup for Harrison and Costa. But
maybe Costa as well might thrive in the Premier League because
he had that missed opportunity, didn't he, with Wolves? Same with Douglas, isn't it?
Yeah, and the Premier League, they do. I'm not saying that teams sit off you, but that's ridiculous. But you do get a bit more time because there's the quality and the teams know when to hold back. Leicester won a league doing it, so we know that even though it's high intense, teams do sit off you a little bit. Just to throw something else back though, Scott. What about if Bielsa doesn't sign?
What if he doesn't stay for another year?
Yeah, what about if he doesn't?
That's the risk in it, I think, at the minute, because
is that bad for Leeds? Is it bad? Is it like catastrophic, or
no? I don't think I wouldn't say it's catastrophic. I mean, it'd be bad for Leeds because we've got that momentum, and I think if you're promoted with one manager, you want that manager to be given the chance, and as do the players, to be honest, because they've had it drilled into them for the last couple of years, to play a certain way. They've had that same voice at the top of the tree. you want that same voice going into the Premier League. But yeah, from what I've heard, there is a small chance that he could go because his job's done, isn't he?
Well, last year after the derby, apparently he cleared out all his office. He took his bags, and that was him gone. And he said, "We can't rely on Hernandez. We've got to be backed by, we've got to be backed. We've got to bring in players, and you basically got to give me what I want." Now, I personally would say to Bielsa, whatever he needs, he gets for that first year. I think he deserves that chance, and I do think that losing Bielsa would be quite catastrophic for the simple reason is it's not like he inherited great players. He got them players and he got them playing away that he wanted to. I would worry if a Sam Allardyce type character, not saying it would be, but I'm on about just that philosophy and that all them fitness levels that we've got and all that ability to play football would be just screwed up and gone, no, our main aim is to survive. I don't think Bielsa goes in the Premier League to just survive. He goes to win and get as high as we can. And again, that for me breeds on that positivity that we've got in the team.
Yeah.
So, any means necessary, I get that contract signed for Bielsa.
Yeah. My only worry with Bielsa in the Premier League is like you made a good point there, mate. He's not going to be there to be mid-table, is he? He's going to go there to want to win. Nope. When he was at Bilbao, he reached the Europa League final, reached the Copa del Rey final. He fell out with a couple of managers at Marseille, at Lazio, at Lille because.
Lazio, we lasted 2 days, didn't it?
Yeah, something like that. That's not ridiculous. But I would hazard a guess that that's because that he didn't get the people he wanted, or he didn't get what he wanted. And in fairness, if I'm a football manager and my reputation is at risk, and I'm going into a club who aren't giving me exactly the tools that I need to succeed, why would I want to stick around? I'm just going to go into work just to please somebody else. If I'm going to a club, if I want to, if me and you are going to go into a club and manage a club. We're going to want the players that we want. We're going to want the squad to play how we want. And if the chairman's going to tell you can't have X player, you can't have Y player, and somebody else is going to take training, you're not going to have the hold that you think you're going to have. You're going to go, are you? You're going to go, no matter how long you've been there.
Yeah.
So I hope next season. I mean, that relationship with Bielsa and Orta is key as well. Orta's going out there and buying the players, and he's not got the greatest history in terms of buying players that have been a success. Yeah. I was looking the other day, I'd say he's got like a 20% success record with his players. So you would hope that him and Bielsa can sort of work hand in hand to bring the players in that we need, because if Bielsa doesn't get the players that he wants, he's not one to stick around.
No, I know. But you know what? There's part of me that quite likes the fact that he puts his foot in, because if he does go and it comes out the fact that he didn't get what he wants, Leeds fans are going to start questioning, the owners and the backroom staff. And I don't think they want that. I think if they promise Bielsa the money and, who knows? Hopefully there's already been, talks of players, and if people are working behind the scenes, trying to get people there. I mean, I saw a thing on Twitter that made me laugh where it said, Bielsa's, sidemen are like, oh no, we've got to watch games of Burnley. He's already had him watching 7 games of Burnley. But we do know that is Bielsa, and he will have his, this as soon as we have our last game, it'll be, if he does sign a contract, to be right, let's watch 300 games of the Premier League.
Yeah, he will. He's that sort of person, isn't he? He'll probably finish this season and he'll probably go out and watch 300 games of, Burnley reserves against Leicester City third team. He's that sort of man. But like I say, as long as he gets the tools that he needs to succeed at this level, I think Bielsa will probably, although he wants to be a success, he's probably being realistic. He's not going to go in and want to finish top, or he's not going to want to finish top 4. He's going to be looking at that top 10 and thinking that's achievable.
What's a good season for Leeds, Scott, next year? Good season. Just survival?
I'd say so, mate. The amount of time that we've been out of the league, I would say that I would be happy with survival with a positive edge to it. Not looking great most of the season, a good end to it.
Newcastle maybe, like that kind of, like the way they've kind of gone under Steve Bruce and what Rafa did.
Just maybe gone under the radar a little bit, but a good end to the season. With a bit of positivity for the season after. I don't think we've been in that position for 16 years now. You don't want to be going into the Premier League like we did in 2001 and throwing money at it and buying, like what Villa have done this season, like what Fulham did the season before. Buy 9, 10 players who, 5 of them you haven't heard of, 3 of them who are coming to the end of their careers, and 2 who look half decent.
But you're right though, Scott. Also, remember when Tottenham sold Bale, and it shows you right through the level.
They
They
bought
went
5
and
or
bought
6
seven
players, didn't they?
players,
They bought 5 or 6
and
players.
Lamella is the only one still there. So even the top teams at no risk of relegation, sometimes buying that many players, and that's why I think Chris Wilder has done. It pains me because obviously it's Sheffield, but the credit you've got to give that team of what he's done, and I actually think the break did them. I think the break did them because I think they were flying. And I would have been really interested to see if they could have got Champions League because but it's give the other teams rest and people like Fernandes to change teams.
It's right though, isn't it? If you're working in a business, or if you're, say if you're working doing your dancing stuff, and you've got a certain amount of people who you've got, and one big player goes, or you get to a point, you get to a point where you want to improve. You're not going to bring in 5, 6 different people here. You're going to want to bring 1 or 2 who are really, really good.
I think that's the key. I think building and adding is good. I think building and changing is wrong. I think you've just got to add. Take away someone if they're not. There's players in that team that are not amazing in Leeds' team that I don't think will cut it in the Premier League. Click being one of them. I know Bielsa's a massive fan. He's 30. Yeah, I know he plays for Poland, but I'm not sure in the Premier League he is the right fit. I don't know. For me personally, I don't think he is, right? But, we all know central midfield is key in the Premier League. It's absolutely key, and you've got to remember, football's changed in the Premier League since Leeds were there. The whole system, it's not flat back 4, 4-4-2, and it's not, it's systems and it's this and it's a totally different universe we're going to. Mic off there. It's just a totally different universe we're going back into in the world of football. The money's changed, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting if Bielsa says who he's got his eye on and who we bring in. Is there someone in the Premier League that you would take that's a realistic signing for Leeds? Someone who maybe might sound like a 30-year-old striker that's I'd take Danny Ings.
Oh yeah, you offered me now. I'd take him straight away. Just touching on Southampton, we were linked with Che Adams, weren't we, back end of last year?
Yeah.
And he's still out of favour there. He'd be a great backup for Bamford, even if we were to get him in. Somebody of that who's got the potential, who's shown potential at Birmingham, who maybe again wants to prove himself at Premier League. I do think we'll probably need maybe an experienced defender, although saying that White's not the most experienced and he's slotted in great, hasn't he? I do think
White's class, though, isn't he? White's he's utter class,
I'll be really interested to see how he does in the Premier League next year, because he will be in the Premier League. But the type of players that we need, if I'd say maybe 5 or 6 players, 1 or 2 who are sort of Premier League, very experienced in the Premier League. Somebody who's like a Danny Drinkwater, sort of, who's been in the Premier League for 5 or 6 years. I'm not suggesting that we signed Danny Drinkwater.
No, but I know what you're talking about, that kind of calibre of player.
Yeah,
what about like someone like an Albright, Mark Albright, who's 31, but has got just a ton of Premier League experience.
He's got like 10 years experience, who's probably not going to get you into the top 7 or 8, but will absolutely give his all, who is an experienced head, who has been there in the Premier League, he's won it with Leicester, probably feels like he's got something to prove. We're signing Mark Albright, and you've heard it here first.
Yeah. Imagine if it happens now. We'll be tweeting.
But you're right though, man. Somebody of that Premier League experience. I've said it about 5 times. Somebody who's sort of been around the block in the Premier League, maybe not getting a chance where they are at the moment, in and out of the team, who probably feels like they've got something to prove. And he'd probably. What?
If we had Harry, he'd be Eamon Ride, I think. Nico Krantz, get him in. Get Defoe. But even someone like not like Defoe is 37, but I'd take a 35-year-old striker who's got a record like that. I'm not suggesting again, but I think what we're talking about is that type of player. Even though we are Leeds and we're a very, very big club, and now we're a Premier League club again, doesn't mean that all of a sudden we're linked to, like Danny Ings. We're not going to get any of them players. It's ridiculous. No. But we just, I think Leeds fans have to be realistic. I think if we finish just above the relegation zone, but we were 5 points clear and we'd had a decent season, I'll take that all day long.
We just need a sustained period now in Premier League, don't we? We don't want to go straight in there and think that we're there to stay. We want to actually earn our right to be there, and that starts by staying in the league next season. A question for you though, mate. Out of all the ex-Leeds players that are in the Premier League at the minute, which one of them would you take back? I'll list them off at the minute that I can think of: Delph, Milner, Lewis Cook, Charlie Taylor, Aaron Lennon.
Charlie Taylor is an interesting one, but I think Milner's the dream because he's such a fan and whatnot, and it was a nice tweet that he put out. Out of them lot, and you said it second, Delph.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you why, for the simple reason when Guardiola had him at Man City, I think first of all, obviously Bielsa and Guardiola would have spoke probably about Delph and whatnot, but just his versatility, Leeds lad, Leeds fan, and the fact that he is that kind of player. He's not over the hill as much as James Milner would improve us. He is 35 next. Delph in.
Yeah.
You know, Delph we could have for 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
That'd be a clever signing.
It would be a great signing, that, mate. Just somebody who's got legs in that midfield. It would be a really clever signing that as well, because he's not really, he's not the best of stats at Everton, has he? He's been in and out of the team. He's been injured and.
Be expensive.
He'd be expensive in terms of his wage, but if there's anybody who gets the club, who probably still loves the club, Delph would be a good one. Yeah. My pick would be Chris Wood.
Yeah, I know, but he's good, man.
I know we're not getting him.
He's
liked there is no chance of us getting him.
Yeah,
but you know, that type of player who didn't leave Leeds on the worst of circumstances or the worst of relationships, who's a proven goal scorer in the Premier League. I think.
What is he, Wood? How old is he now? Is he?
I think he's like late 20s, isn't he? He's like mid to late 20s.
Yeah, I'm going to say, is he pushing 30? I think he is.
I reckon he's about 27, 28, 29.
Okay, all right, okay. So he's a bit younger than I thought, but he's a fantastic player, and he's built for the Premier League. He's built for a Bielsa system as well, actually.
Exactly, imagine Costa and Harrison playing off that, and you had one or two.
I'm interested to see how Harrison does next year, because I love his energy, and I think he's improved. And apparently he got a fitness coach didn't he last year, and he really wanted to improve.
Yeah,
that's great.
He got like a psychology coach as well.
Sports psychology.
Sports psychologist, sorry. Mm-hmm. Went off and did his own fitness routine in America, where he's got contacts and whatever. But yeah, if that's there for you, then use it, don't you? Because it's paid off. Because he's looked fit this year, hasn't he, Jack Harrison?
Yeah, he's great. I mean, sometimes his decision and whatnot, but you know what? He's still young, and he's and playing at the highest level can only improve you anyway. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. Look, just before we wrap up, I want to talk about who's joining Leeds then, because it's interesting now. It's going into the final game looking like Brentford will look like. Why? Fulham are going to pick. Tell me, what do you think is going to happen? Because I think West Brom are in. I think they're in a scary situation.
Yeah, I've got to say, although I do like to see, the bigger teams in the Premier League, like a Leeds, like a Newcastle. I do like to see a new team every now and then, like a Brentford, and it'd be good for them to, moving away from Griffin Park to move into their new stadium in the Premier League. I'd like to see Brentford. I think it'll be West Brom. Yeah. And I'd also like to see Notts Forest back as well.
I was going to say Notts Forest because they're a big club, and they remind me of when I first got into football, maybe early 90s. I mean, I was really fortunate. My dad used to take me as a kid to Leeds, and I was blown away by it. But then when the Premier League started, Notts Forest always seemed to be really prevalent in my mind, and I think they're a club a bit like Leeds, a bit of a sleeping giant. Look at their history, man. I mean, we talk about Leeds, but they're,
I think as well for an away fan, if me and you go to an away game next year, or if any Leeds fan goes to an away game, I don't want to be going to a Fulham.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's no disrespect to Fulham or a team who we've been to before, a Cardiff. I want to go to a Forest, proper a team that's been up there, won a European Cup. Not the greatest relationship in between fans, but clubs with a lot of character, shall we say.
Yeah, I agree. So I think we're both in agreement that it's going to be Leeds, West Brom, and probably Fulham going up then, because we never get anything right. Yeah. But listen, the most important thing is Leeds are back with Premier League. It's hard to say the word sometimes. Leeds are back in the Premier League.
Don't feel right.
But It's unbelievable. Listen, we're going to keep growing this. If you're Leeds fans, give us a follow. We're going to have some players coming on. We're going to have Big Ian Dow coming back on soon because he's just a great guy and he wants to. Yeah, he wants to come on again, and we're going to talk about Leeds being back in the Premier League. We're going to get some more guests on, ready for the new season. Follow us on the Flatback 4 Pod on YouTube and on Instagram. But for now, we are Leeds and we are going up.
Bye, everyone.
See you later, Scott. We'll see you soon, mate.